Tuesday, it's Belgium. And I know nobody thought we'd get out of the group of death, Taylor, but I don't think we should be satisfied with just getting out of it. I mean, now I have some perspective having watched the games. How do you see it, and how do you think the players see it?
Well, it's interesting, Colin, because I think, for 6 months, all we talked about was it's the group of death, the United States doesn't have a chance. And then literally in 6 days, it did a 180. Then everyone's saying, well, wait a minute, we just dominated a large portion of that game against Portugal. Now we just need a draw against Germany. I think you're spot on. I think expectations have completely changed. And I think players realize, listen, we got out of the group of death. No one gave us a shot. Maybe we're playing a little bit with house money, but if you're going to play any one of the top teams in the world, I think you want to play Belgium. They have not been convincing in the group stages. They've needed late goals. They've never, while they are much more talented than the United States, they're the same in big game experience. They're lacking some, they're a dark horse. So I agree with you, Colin. I think a lot of the players and a lot of U.S. soccer fans are like, okay, great, we got through the group of death, but wait a minute, we've got Belgium. We're not playing Argentina. We're not playing Brazil. I think we got a legit chance here.
A lot of this, I say this being a kid who grew up in the Northwest and liked soccer, and my mom was from England, and I went over there for a summer and watched it, and Johan Cruyff in the Netherlands, and I think I have a better background than some in the media, but I'm learning the sport as we go. And it's interesting, so I rely probably more than any other sport on the eyeball test. What do I see? With Germany, I saw size, and I saw experience, and people that could hold the ball. And at times, I thought we looked a little reverential toward Germany. Not that it was passive, but we played as if we thought they were better. Did you see that?
Yep. Not even a question. It's not even a debate. I think the first 20 minutes, there was way too much respect given to Germany. But in defense of these players, we are not an experienced country in that type of situation where you only need a draw to get out of the group. Usually we need wins, right? And we need to win the final game in our group. And you look at the history of the United States in the final group stage game, Colin, after yesterday, they're 1-7. They don't tie those games. It's a very interesting dilemma. It's going to grow as we grow as a country and get in that spot more. But the first 20 minutes, it almost looked like, well, we know Germany's way better than us, so we're just going to sit in. But I also think part of that was the fact that they had 27 hours less rest, and they played in the Amazon jungle while Germany did not. And every single team that's played in the Amazon
that's right.
has lost,
yep.
Except for Portugal yesterday. It's the first team to win. So I think you saw that effect a little bit as well.
Taylor Twellman, former U.S. team member, now an ESPN soccer analyst, heard on ESPN Radio. One of the things I think that U.S. sports fans struggle with, and I'm trying to tell people today, is March Madness, the regular season and even your conference tournament, you'll have good losses. It's okay. I think our Americanism, our patriotism, our jingoism, it's how can you advance with a loss? But one of the things I find fascinating is the group stage is not the final 16. This now is March Madness, one and done. Does it change the way you go into a game knowing it's sudden death? Will we be more aggressive now?
I hope so, because it is interesting. Listen, it was difficult for me to call a game when you know, well, it actually really depends more on the other game. It's an odd feeling, and I think you're right. I think a lot of that is just how we grew up. We grew up as Americans, win-loss, ties are what they are, but it's round robin, and that's what it is. I hope the United States comes out a little bit more aggressive. I think it's going to be very interesting to see tactically how they line up. But you also don't want to come out guns blazing, Colin. There's a fine line to coming out in the first 20 minutes and then going down a goal and then having a shootout. So it's going to be interesting, but I hope they're more aggressive.
Howard is as big and athletic as almost any goalie in the tournament. Do we have an advantage? Does goalkeeping become more important? Because now, if game goes to penalty kicks, we have a Tim Howard. Do you see Howard playing an even more vital role this point forward?
I do, but the matchup against Belgium, you're seeing two of the top 4 best goalkeepers in the world. Courtois is just as good, if not better. 6'6", 6 feet 9 inches wingspan. I mean, he's huge. He's young. You're going to see two of the best 4 goalkeepers in the world. And so that is negated against the Belgians of the world. But you're right, Colin, in the sense of Tim Howard, and for this matter, every time we're in this predicament, the United States has always needed a goalkeeper to come up with 2 or 3 big saves.
Yes.
Tim Howard will do that, but Belgium has the counterpunch on the other end because Courtois is just as good. The difference is going to be which center forward has more of an impact. Lukaku for Belgium has done nothing this tournament. He's actually not one of the coach's favorite players. The problem is his favorite forward tore his Achilles 6 weeks before the tournament, and then Clint Dempsey and whoever else is up front for the United States. Whichever one of those 2 players plays well, I think their team will win.
Taylor, before this tournament, many were critical of Jurgen Klinsmann because Jurgen did not allow Landon Donovan on the team. And I understood it. But I said at the time, and I still believe it, when you're trying to change a culture, you have to make big, bold decisions. And there was Clint Dempsey, and there was Bradley, and there was Howard. There was some, there were veterans here. Can Jurgen Klinsmann this morning wake up and say, I told you so? That in the end, youth, young players, Graham Susie, they got opportunities, and that can Jurgen today say, my way won?
Yes, but there's a but in there, and I'll tell you why. Because I had, and I said this on SportsCenter, Colin, I had no problem with Landon not being on the team if your 23 players are right. It's mind-boggling to me. Take the 3 goalkeepers out. You have 20 field players, which means what? Every player has a backup. Josie Altidore has no backup. That's amazing to me that you construct a 23-man roster that way. Julian Green, Mick Diskerud, Timmy Chandler haven't played yet. Chris Wondolowski's played maybe 7 minutes. So I will say yes, that Jurgen can say, listen, Landon Donovan not being on the team, it sent the right message. It's the bold move you're talking about, Colin. However, you're talking about guys with broken noses, pulled hamstrings, cramping up, hip pointers, and you still haven't used 4 players. So I still will criticize his selection of the 23-man roster, because if Julian Green's never going to step on the field, if Mick Diskerud's never going to step on the field, then why are we bringing them?
Yeah.
You need all 20 field players, but he can definitely look a lot of people in the eye right now, including myself, and say, I told you so, I'm laying it down.